Our next speaker needs a little introduction, but I will say a few words. Jock Douglas, his primary industry background is with beef cattle and desert limes production near Roma in Queensland. Jock was inaugural chair of the Australian Land Management Group. His continuing aim is for the wide adoption of land management certification as a vital differentiation point for Australian agriculture and the next step for land care. Ladies and gentlemen, Jock Douglas.
Thanks, Kerry. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Bruce, also for those kind remarks, and we certainly appreciate your support. And we'll be looking for that to continue because we really need this to flow into the government. I just need to bring this up. Are we there? Okay, good. In the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to give you a description of what we, the Australian Land Management Group, has developed. It's the certified land management. It's a management system for landholders. I'm going to show you how they're putting that into place in the Marinara region in a project which is funded by the Biodiversity Fund. And I just want to do this so you can get a sense of what becomes possible. There are benefits. We talked about the market benefits. They're big on market benefits, but they're the hardest ones to pull off. There are a lot of benefits, other benefits as well. Benefits for catchments, for the environment, benefits for stakeholders, as well as for the landholder in their own management. What we've done, I think the design principles of this are the core. Tony Gleeson and others, but Tony in particular, and I guess myself, we've worked on those design principles, and Tony will outline that in more detail, those when you get a sense of what we can deliver. So we'll just now go to the Biodiversity Fund project. So it's titled Removing Constraints to Improving Biodiversity Conservation. Now, most of these Biodiversity Fund projects are about planting trees and how many you can plant and what you can do, and you get some money to do it. We had quite a different project here. We thought with this aim, trialling, reducing the constraints through the use across organisations of a whole of property, landscape-linked, externally audited, certified land management system. Bear in mind though, certified land management itself has an aim, and we needed to marry those aims. So the aim of CLM, the primary purpose is to support continuous improvement in land and animal welfare management in ways that improve farm profitability. Bruce touched on, tremendously important, and enable the achievements of those landholders to be recognised and rewarded. So here we go then. This project was conducted in the Marinara region, the Marinara Shire area, local authority area. You'll see the blue tabs there, they're all the properties that were involved. You'll see the inset of where that Marinara region is in Australia and Queensland. It's quite a substantial area of the Shire, and there's some quite substantial properties or aggregations when you put it all together involved in this project. I am the project leader. It's almost finished. We're almost completed it, but we're just not quite there yet. It'll finish on the 30th of June. Here then I'll give you a snapshot of the landholders involved. We're working out at Bymount in this case. This is the community hall north of Roma, between Engine and Roma. And that community, or people in that community, came together and in that hall, and that's where the 2-day workshop was delivered. Likewise at Hodson, we're going west here. Some big grain growers involved in those people, but also cattle. Wallumbilla to the east, north and south of Wallumbilla. 9 businesses, 13 properties, as you'll see. And finally, this one quite recently completed, the workshop there. 11 people at the workshop, 7 businesses, 71,000 hectares. And in those 4 groups, we're talking 284,000 hectares. Quite substantial area of land. So let's look at the people. You can see them there, some of them. It's a mix of ages. Good numbers of young people involved, husbands and wives planning together. There you see in that group there's 4 couples planning together, husbands and wives, 3 others, but there's 7 altogether. So we get a nice mixture in the mix and ages as well. So there's a wide attraction for what we're doing. What are they looking for with CLM, and what's going to keep them involved? Well, they're seeking management benefits for on-farm production that provide improved profitability. That's a big one. They want to feel good about their level of management. Self-esteem is a big factor. They would like to make an asset of their good management through recognition of that by governments, by NRM bodies, by the community and in the marketplace. They want new knowledge and to share knowledge. Beef cattle production is common to all. All of those people you've seen preceding those, they've all got cattle, but they've got other things as well. Some of these have got sheep meats, there's grain, there's a mixture of those. So there's a mix, but cattle happens to be common to everyone. They're seriously time constrained. These people are the main workers on their properties that we've seen. They're mostly doing it. Not too much employment there. This is the family operation, and that's what's happening out there now. You've got to be doing it yourself. So basically what we're seeing in this particular project, mainstream, middle of the road, businesses and people, perhaps more innovative than average, and certainly positive. But this group in this particular project doesn't represent all of our people in CLM. We have corporate groups involved, and where the managers of their properties, for example, instead of being the family operations coming together, they would bring their managers together and work them through the process and exchange a lot of good information in the corporate business that they run. So it can apply that there as well. So let me just see, you'll see those people have all got computers in front of them. This happens to be in the land care office provided to us at free of cost in Mitchell. And good Wi-Fi connection. All of these are going to go online and link into the online system we have called MyEMS. MyEMS is a software package purpose designed to take people through this process at the ISO 14001 standard, designed for that. So here we go, this is what they'll do. They'll first of all list their enterprises. It might be sheep, might be cattle, might be a mixture of both, grain. Those enterprises will be listed, and the program itself will bring up the legislation that applies to their operations. So all of the legislation in Queensland, for example, will come up. The people will look at that legislation. They can see a précis of it, decide whether they're right for it or need to do more. And they can bring up the whole act if they want to. That's backed up in the program. Commonwealth legislation as well. And if you're in another state, it would bring up the other state's legislation. The activities that they're doing as part of their operation, whether it's grazing management or growing grain or all the sorts of activities you might have on your property, are then listed, and an environmental review is conducted of the impact of those activities on their environment. What are going to be those impacts, and also on their animals for animal welfare. So that environmental review is undertaken, and they will prioritise things that they want to do, the things that they've listed and prioritised, their actions, and from that they will develop management plans. When they've developed those management plans and are ready for audit, they have to be actually implementing them, and that'll take them to audit. That's the process generally. Before they do when they do the environmental plan review and go to do their management plans, they also see the stakeholders' requirements. And in this case, for this particular project, we had the Biodiversity Fund, as I've told you. The Marinara Regional Council were backers and helped fund the project, lessen the cost for the landholder. They were in there with their requirements. The Queensland Murray-Darling Basin or Committee were there with their requirements, and also RSPCA requirements were used to view the animal welfare plan that they would be developing. First of all, I'll just show you a cut of the legislation. You probably won't be able to read all that, But there's actually 46 acts triggered. There's 24 landholders listed there that fit on this particular table. And they have triggered 46 acts in Queensland. And those each one of those is listed, each one of those is a landholder. So you can see, we can show that those landholders have triggered those acts and have inspected those and are responded to the legislation regarding those. Here are the requirements that they would be shown, probably in greater detail, but they are numbered. So the Biodiversity Fund requirements are there. Quite a lot of these overlap. This is the Queensland Murray-Darling Basin one. They talk about soil condition and soil and grass management. Likewise, the Marinara Regional Council does. Identification of good ground cover awards right at the top. When you get down a bit, you will see implementation of action on pest management strategies. So we're talking here about managing weeds, and Parthenium's a big one, but managing weeds generally. You could be in southern New South Wales and looking at some nasty grasses you have down there. So you've got all of those things will be implemented and looked at through this particular project. Pest management, obviously we're talking ferals here, and pigs, dingoes, that's the sort of thing that the council wants to tick off on. RSPCA has a set of guidelines which in a nice little folder which the landholders get, but it's particularly about the welfare guidelines for beef cattle, and all of these people in this particular project have drawn up a management plan for their beef cattle to reduce livestock stress, and they use those guidelines in formulating what they're going to do. So there you see the 4 stakeholders, and you can see the certified land management has covered the requirements of all of those as they're implementing their management plans. So here we go into an actual management plan. So an actual overview here of the landholders management plan. It shows the activity. It'll show a significant aspect of that activity, and this is from a landholder. Those words in there, the landholder's name's taken out, but an actual landholder has put those words in, and I'm showing what a landholder has done and how they responded to it. So out of this, they've come up with 2 action plans that they've prioritised: pasture management, inappropriate grazing of pasture. That's one. And another one is maintain ecosystem health and adequate enabling of vegetation. They're going to fence off a creek area and keep the stock out of it until it gets its ground cover back in doing that. So 2 management plans they prioritise and are putting into action. And I'll take you now to the action plan. This is the landholders' action plan. This is the heart of the beast, really. And these are the landholders' words here, but it starts with a cause. I'll take you down to action plan 2 in the middle there, grazing system, because virtually every landholder, I think everyone, they're all in grazing, so they all have an action plan of some sort. And we'll just go through this one as an example. They go to the cause. What's the cause of the problem here? Uneven grazing by livestock due to too few water points, paddocks for different grasses and soil types, resulting in eroded and root-bound grasses. Okay, they've got an objective. They're going to have a grazing system which maintains good ground cover across all soil types, plants, etc. They've got a strategy. They're going to fence paddocks to soil types. They're going to rotationally graze. They're going to use yeoman plough to loosen up some soil. And they have a target. And the target is to maintain ground cover at a minimum of 60%. That's pretty good going out in Western Marinara. And they're going to do that across all soil types. There's an indicator, the ground cover, that they will maintain at that. They're going to monitor it. So here we are, they were going to, and have in fact, established permanent photo monitoring sites to do quarterly monitoring and recording what's going on. And they're going to also do a comprehensive soil test to go with that. And down at the bottom we see some tasks. So these are the tasks that they will tick off on, and they're going to establish those photo monitoring points, certain date, there's dates for it, deadlines, and it's done. So there we have a an action plan in place and operating which can be viewed by the auditor, and it's a well-considered action plan for a landholder and an ongoing plan. So we come, I'll go on, sorry, there's an animal welfare plan, which is a separate plan, and they will use the same sort of format to identify how they're going to relieve livestock stress. That's the objective, and there's a number of things here listed. In this case, it's about mustering, it's about branding, it's about castration and doing these things in a way which reduces livestock stress. A lot of the landholders, in fact, went for buying pole cattle, so there was reducing the need to dehorn. In this case, this particular landholder was a Wagyu breeder, and you don't get polled Wagyu, so that wasn't in the list, but there's certainly lots of other things happening there for that landholder. So they tailor-make these action plans and put those into place. So we come now to certification. And it verifies a continuous improvement in environmental and animal welfare management. It certifies operations across all the activities on that land. So they can't just pick out the grain and say, okay, I want to do certified grain, so I'll certify my grain country. Everything that's happening on the land will need certification, and the beauty of that is, of course, you don't have to do two or three systems or two or three times. You can apply it all at once. It's very effective and efficient. It takes account of landscape-wide environmental considerations. We saw that the Queensland Murray-Darling's objectives were listed there, requirements. Well, no matter where you are doing certified land management, you would be required to, above the ISO, on and beyond the ISO 14001, we would require them to take account of the environmental considerations from the catchment area. And likewise, they would also have to show how they're providing support for biodiversity conservation. Added this, the ARM group has added this to CLM in addition to the ISO 14001 requirement. We think it's necessary. It complies with the internationally accepted ISO 14001 management standard. We went for that standard for a very good reason, because you need to be able to stand out in the marketplace. We're going to get those recognition rewards. We go for the international standard that's widely recognised, and the certification complies with that standard. Then we come to audit, and the focus of the audit is on implementation and effectiveness of the CLM management plan. It's not just about drawing up a plan and putting it on the shelf somewhere. The auditor will want to see this being implemented and the effectiveness of that implementation. That's what they'll be looking for. The audit's going to be external. You can't be doing it self-assessed. It's done by an accredited ARM group auditor. It's annual. There'll be an on-farm audit once every 3 years with a desktop audit in each of the other 2 years. So the process has rigour, and it has outcomes, and outcomes that are recorded, monitoring that's ongoing, the system, and that's the system that we certify. We do a bit more though. We've come to what we call our farm ecology component of certified land management. And this is about strengthening the links between environment and production, and the emphasis on soils. Soil and plant function. Soil nutrients, soil biomass, soil fertility, and how that all works is the focus of this. So that there's a discussion initiated in the group about healthy soils, healthy plants, healthy animals. Soil tests are done. Each landholder will be doing at least 3 soil tests, and those sites are very carefully selected so they get the best result from those tests. So the most productive land, what might be happening there, is assessed. Landholders take samples, they mark the sites for monitoring, and usually those sites will be in conjunction with their pasture monitoring sites. So when they're altering their grazing and changing the grass structures, they can also monitor what's happening in the soils that produce that. So it's a nice mix of monitoring that you can bring on in this case. Those soil tests are interpreted with professional input. System Ag Bart Davidson, Bart will be talking here later, so that people who don't really understand what they're getting back in those soil tests will get that interpreted for them. The management responses are discussed. The CLM group share that knowledge, and the farm ecology segment to CLM is generating very valuable information. I'll give you a couple of quick examples of that. One landholder in the northern sort of Mitchell area, fairly extensive grazing, did some soil tests and found wherever he went basically had quite a serious copper deficiency, to the extent that it would be impacting on the fertility of their bulls. And they took the simple step of making sure that in their dry lick ration they had copper sulphate in there and the herd was getting copper in that way, but wouldn't have known about it without the tests. Another one had a stand of introduced grasses, a really nice stand of bambatsi grass with a new legume from a trial gradually spreading across into that bambatsi paddock. And the landholder wanted to know whether there was a nitrogen benefit coming from that introduced legume. So two tests were done in that paddock, one through the grass where there wasn't much desmanthus, and one where there was quite a bit of desmanthus, a lot of desmanthus in amongst the grass. In the no desmanthus test, 10 kilograms per hectare of available nitrogen. Where there was desmanthus, 40 kilograms per hectare of available nitrogen available in that soil. So pretty obvious what the landholder is going to do there is make sure that that desmanthus gets spread as soon and as efficiently as possible, because it's going to give him big production bang for buck in that operation. So that sort of wraps it up, but that shouldn't be how it looks. How am I going here? This hasn't gone well. Can we do anything about this, Adam? Didn't get to this before. It's a beauty, isn't it? What I was going to show you is that all the things the certified land management can do for you. And I can't do it, can I, with that? Because that comes up right around that circle of 8 points. Can we do anything here? The right arrow? Hasn't transferred. The technology I thought I had perfect, unfortunately hasn't happened. But just to close then, what I was going to show you there, that the farm ecology thing is ticked off on, so the profitability was one. The next one we show, we've got confirmed environmental management. The next one was the ability to respond to legislation, make sure the regulatory requirements are covered. The animal welfare issue is dealt with and managed and can be shown to be managed. They're set up then also for certification to be taken along the value chain. So the basis for that is laid, if it can be brought off. And it's an ongoing response, in fact, from the landholder. This is not a one-off. This is starting the landholders down the course of something that they're going to continue to do. So what we finish with then is continuous improvement in land and animal welfare management. And we believe that that is the way for big improvement in natural resource management, which should be helped by the government, because we can get all of those outcomes along the way. So there we have it, basically. Sorry we couldn't do that. But that's what we've developed. And we didn't arrive at this overnight. There's a lot of thinking, planning, trialling and delivery invested in that. Something just popped. The ARM group is now ready to see this concept moved into national application. And we know we can't do it ourselves, we're too small. We need help, we need ideas, we need your support to take that up to another level. We're prepared to assist with that, but I think we're ready to move it on. So we've shown you what we have, and I think you, the people that are here at this symposium, with that wide range of backgrounds that we remark on, and the fields of interest you have, and I think it's notable that the potential of the thing we've developed here and what it can deliver is can be broadly applicable in the fields that you come from. And what we have here, I think we can agree, is a standout innovation in natural resource management. Thank you.
Thank you, Jock. I'm sure we'll have that graph up sometime later today, and also there'll be the opportunity to ask Jock plenty of questions, I'm sure.